What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, bringing home the bacon. MLB DFS video. It is Wednesday. It is July 5th, and we are bringing you, hopefully, another informationally packed video for you. Big shout out to everyone who subscribed yesterday on the website. FTA Plus blew up on the 4th of July. Awesome. So if you haven't, go check out FantasyTeamAdvisors.com right here. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, FTA Plus. Go check that out. We're going to have a ton of information for you. We have a ton of information here in these videos, but we have a lot more over on the website. So just kind of talk about real quick what we have. Under MLB, we've got MLB DFS BVP. We've got stolen base targets, contrarian stacks, cheat sheet includes cheat sheets, and then optimal lineups for early slates and main slates. Great starting point for your lineups. We got prop bets, betting odds, ballpark ratings, umpire factors, and the optimal stack list to show you what stacks you should be taking. 5-2, 4-3, Fanduel, DraftKings, stuff like that. So a lot of great information over there and a lot of great information here, hopefully. So if you have any success, let us know. Let us know in this video if you had success. There are two ways, multiple ways actually, to win. So a good way, easy way to win. Anytime a video gets at least 50 likes, we throw a and you leave a positive comment, and you're a subscriber to the page here. Your name gets drawn, thrown in to random.org, randomized 3 times, and on the 3rd time, the winner will receive a free week. If we get 100 likes on this video, the winner will receive a free month, and if we get 125 likes, the winner will receive the rest of the MLB season for free. So that's one way to win. Second way to win, be a subscriber, like this video, tell us who's going to hit a home run, what inning they're going to hit it in, and the distance traveled. The distance traveled is a tiebreaker. We've used it a couple times, but great way to do it. You got to have the batter and the inning they're going to hit it in. Another way to do it, once we hit 10,000 YouTube subscribers, 2 lucky people are going to win a lifetime pass worth $499 to FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. So good way to win there. Also, follow us on Twitter at advisors_team. We're going for 10,000 as well if we can get those by the start of the NFL season. So we've already put everyone's name in random.org that commented on yesterday's 4th of July video. First off, hopefully you guys had a safe and happy 4th of July. I am sunburnt, but hopefully you come here with all of your digits that you started with at the beginning of the day. So we're going to randomize this 3 times, and then we're going to jump right into the breakdown. So 1, 2, and congratulations to Timothy, I'm assuming it's Giroux644. Like this video, say you're the winner, and then there's 2 ways to contact us. Either hit us up on email, it's dfshelp1@gmail.com. That's dfshelp1@gmail.com. Or hit us up on Twitter at advisors_team. And again, you can win every single day. So in theory, Timothy could win 7 straight days. That's 7 weeks of baseball. So every time you like a video and leave a positive comment on the website or on this video, you have a chance to win. So that being said, we're going to jump into it. It's one of those, it's a Wednesday slate. We've got an early game here, which we're not going to cover this one because I'm not going to play the all-day slate because there's so much time in between here. And weather can change a ton. We have found out. So I'm really just not a fan of the all-day slates because they've become, the time difference is so ridiculous here. Then you've got the early only, which is a couple of games, and then we've got a main slate. I think a main slate is 11 games today. So we're not going to cover this game because I would maybe take JP France, but we're not going to play the all-day slate. So then we got this game here, Oakland at Detroit. You got Ken Waldichuk versus Eduardo Rodriguez. I said in yesterday's video, we went off on that. Said both of those pitchers had a fantastic shot to have decent games because both of the teams are not ideal MLB teams right now. And that's exactly what we saw. We saw a nothing game until the 10th inning. Boring, yes. Offensive-wise, obviously boring. But we saw that Tariq Skubal I wanted to use him. He only went 4 innings, but he had 6 strikeouts, so that's not bad. And then we went with J.P. Sears as well. He went 7.1 innings. Would have loved to see more than 4 strikeouts, but that's what we've got. So not bad showing out of those two. I don't feel very confident in either of these in cash. I would look at both of these pitchers for tournaments. So Waldichuk, I don't mind. Erod, I don't mind either. I do believe that, I mean, obviously both of these offenses we know. We'd love it a little bit better if it was in Oakland, but it's not. And Erod hasn't pitched since May 28th, so over a month. Had a finger issue. Whether or not that's going to be an issue, whether or not he's going to come in on a pitch count, but he comes in 4-4 record, 2.13 ERA. He looked good. He had 1 lone start in the minors. So I'm a little bit worried about that. I don't know his longevity there. I would take both of these pitchers, but both in cash. And I would not, the offenses I would not take. Phillies at the Rays is next. Taijuan Walker versus Zach Little. Walker, 7 plate appearances, 143. Like I said yesterday, it's very hard to want to take him or take a pitcher against Tampa Bay at home. So looking at that, tournaments, I think he'll be very low owned to tournaments. Obviously, he hasn't seen them much, so I'll have some exposure to Walker in tournaments. But with Little here, I would not. I'm not going to do anything with him. I don't trust him. He's coming in. This is, he's an opener. He's going to come in 1 inning, maybe 2 innings, and that's going to be it. So I would stack Phillies because we're going to get into Tampa Bay's bullpen unless they have a 4 to 5 inning starter that's coming in after the opener. As of now, I have no news on that. So I would take Walker in tournaments. I wouldn't take Little, and I would take probably Phillies bats. So, Trey Turner, Castellanos, obviously Schwarber if you're ever going to have a stack there. You're looking at Schwarber for sure. And then it just really depends on who's out there. Bryson Stott, Bohm. I'll take a little bit of exposure. Cardinals at the Marlins. Guys, if you watch yesterday's video, I said the Marlins, they were my favorite stack of the day. Wainwright is washed, shouldn't be pitching. 15-2, I think it was, Marlins. Not a ton of home runs. I think 2 home runs in that, but if you had the right offense, which absolutely loved Miami there, hopefully you ate and brought home some bacon there. So let us know if you brought home bacon. Let us know what your favorite stack was and if it was the Marlins and if it came through. As of now, to be announced versus Brian Hoeing, I'll take a little bit of exposure to Hoeing. That sounds odd. He's not going deep into games, though. That's the problem. Against Atlanta, 3.2 innings, 7 earned runs, -7 fantasy points. Not enough for me. Versus Pittsburgh, 5 innings, 21 fantasy points. Toronto, 27 fantasy points. I will only take Brian Hoeing here in tournaments just because he's not going deep into games. He's not getting a ton of fantasy points. He's not getting a ton of strikeouts lately. His most he's gotten is 5 on June 19th, and that's the most he's gotten all year, being a bullpen guy. So still, I don't know if they're going to go deep into the game with him. They could, as bad, it's wild to say, but as bad as the Cardinals are this year, Hoeing could have his best game of the year, or he could get lit up. You never know with that offense. So I will take him for tournaments a little bit, and then depending on what Cardinals pitcher, possibly Marlins stack again. Reds at the Nationals is next. Graham Ashcraft versus Josiah Gray. Ashcraft, 12 plate appearances, .083, 25K percentage. Josiah Gray, 9 plate appearances, didn't give up a hit, 44.4. I would like this game a little bit more if it were in Cincinnati, but it's not, but I'm still stacking Cincinnati here. I still like Cincinnati as one of my favorite stacks on the day against Josiah Gray. That rhymed. I would look at, just depending on who's out there, Ellie De La Cruz, Friedel, Fraley, Steer, Joey Votto. I would look at those bats in this game against Josiah Gray. And I will have some Ashcraft for tournaments. I'm not looking at Washington bats at all, nor am I looking at Josiah Gray. Orioles at the Yankees. So the Yankees have taken the first 2. Dean Kramer versus Randy Vasquez. Kramer, 65 plate appearances against this current team, 339 batting average, 16.9 K percentage. Coming to see when he pitched against them last. Back on April 7th was the last time. First and last time. 5 innings pitched, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, 4 earned runs, only 15 fantasy points. They've had his number a little bit. Gleyber Torres at home versus Baltimore is nuts. He had almost 2 home runs on 4th of July and then a double there. He ran through a stop sign, also scored, shouldn't have, but they bobbled the ball. He's hot right now. You got to take him. Like I've said, guys, if Stanton is in the outfield, if Stanton is playing right field, I'm taking him in my lineup. If he's a DH, I'm probably going to hold off on him, just the numbers wise. So if I'm stacking here, I'm looking at LeMahieu, 8 for 19 with 2 doubles, Torres, 4 for 11 with a double, Stanton if he's in the outfield, Anthony Rizzo, Volpe as well. Maybe Osvaldo Cabrera as well, just depending on what lineup comes out there. Jake Bauers, just depends on what lineup we're looking at. I'm not going to have Dean Kramer at all. Randy Vasquez. Believe they just called him back up. Let's see. Yeah, so he pitched May 26th and June 8th against the Padres and the White Sox. 26 fantasy points against the Padres, 32 fantasy points against the White Sox. Not too bad. Averaging a 1-1 record, 1.74 ERA, only 9 strikeouts in 10 innings. But I'll take that. I'll take a little bit of Vasquez in tournaments just because it is the Baltimore Orioles. They are a really good team. They've just dropped the first 2 games here. So they're going for a series split, but they can't get that until they win this game. But I will take Vasquez in tournaments. I will not take Kramer, and I will be looking at stacking the Yankees and the bats that I said. Rangers at the Red Sox is next. John Gray versus Brian Bello, or Bayo. Gray, 69 plate appearances, 270 batting average, 17.4 K percentage. Bayo, 14 plate appearances, 0.71 ERA. I don't trust a pitcher against Texas right now. I'm looking at Texas bats. I'm looking at Marcus Semien, Josh Young, Adolis Garcia, Jonah Heim, if he's there. Again, this is Boston. The Fenway Park gives up a ton of runs. That's exactly what we need, and that's exactly what Texas has been able to do most of the time this year. I'll have some exposure to Gray, probably in tournaments. That's it. It's kind of crazy because 4th of July had a lot of great pitching matchups, a lot of great pitchers to choose from. This is there's more games on this slate, I believe. It's not good. This pitching today is not ideal. Not a ton of like, oh, this guy's going to rock it. Here we go. 100%. So looking at that, John Gray in tournaments, I don't mind. I won't have Bayo. I mean, you could throw Bayo in tournaments just because his ownership is going to be probably 2% or less because he is going up against Texas, and obviously Texas is really good, but I'm more on the Texas side, and then Gray is tournament. Braves at the Guardians is next. You got Michael Soroka versus Cal Quantrill. Soroka, 21 plate appearances, 381 batting average out of him. And then Quantrill, 30 plate appearances, 222. Not a good start. The first 2 starts of Soroka off the IL against Oakland, Arizona, got 15 fantasy points and 2 fantasy points respectively, giving up 9 earned runs in that game. And then he had a good game his last start against Miami. 6 innings, 7 strikeouts, 3 earned runs, 40 fantasy points. I kind of like Soroka for tournaments. Hopefully he goes at least 6 innings like he has in 2 of his 3 starts, which would be fantastic for us. So if he could go 6 innings, 5, 6 strikeouts, we could be cooking. Be a cheaper option here. Well, actually, he's 9,300 on Fanduel, so he's not even that cheap for coming in with a 6.89 ERA and only 12 strikeouts. So they definitely on Fanduel are pricing him up because of the competition he's going against. But yeah, I don't think I'll have Quantrill. Just the fact that the Braves are so good, I'd be looking at Matt Olson, Acuna, who's, if he gets on, he's most likely getting you a stolen base, more fantasy points there. Albies, Austin Riley, A lot of great options that, and I probably don't need to tell you how many great options there are for Atlanta. So I would look at stacking Atlanta and Soroka in tournaments, and then I'm not going to have any Quantrill at all. Royals at the Twins, Alec Marsh versus Pablo Lopez. Marsh never faced them before, obviously. Made one start. His major league debut was against the Dodgers. 4 innings, 5 strikeouts, 5 earned runs. I'll take him in a tournament just because he'll be low owned as well. And then flip side of that with Pablo Lopez, 36 plate appearances, 323 batting average. He's actually gotten lit up. And I wanted to take the pitcher against Kansas City on the 4th of July, but Kansas City came through. Again, like if this was in Kansas City, it's a pitcher's park, which I'm very excited. I finally found tickets, got Yankees tickets to Kansas City. We try to go every year, and found them for $35 a piece. It's the last weekend of the season they play in Kansas City, so it's not until September 29th, 30th, I think, or 28th, 29th, 30th, something like that. So very excited for that. I already got the hotel. So excited. But we're not talking about me. We're talking about DFS. I'll have a little bit of exposure to Marsh in tournaments. I do like Pablo Lopez as well. I will be wary on him. I'm probably not taking either of these offenses. I will look at both of these pitchers for tournaments, but not for cash. Blue Jays at the White Sox is next. You got Jose Barrios versus Lance Lynn. Barrios coming off one of his worst starts recently. In that game on Friday, gave up 4 runs on 5 hits, including 3 home runs over 6 innings as the Blue Jays fell 5-0. In that game, 6 innings. He did have 8 strikeouts, though, so he still got 30 fantasy points. Now he's got a better matchup against the White Sox. Let's see if he's faced the White Sox this year. He has. So he faced them back on April 25th, went 7 innings, 9 strikeouts, no earned runs, 58 fantasy points. So I do like Barrios here. That's why he's the picture of this video. On the flip side, Lance Lynn, 166 plate appearances, 247 batting average. I don't trust him. He is so fat. I don't know how he's an athlete. He's got that. I've got a better athlete's body than him. He's coming into this game though, 5-8 record, 6.47 ERA, 116 strikeouts and 96 innings. So he is doing well. Did give up 8 hits against the Angels, 7 strikeouts, 5 earned runs, but got the W, so he got 30 fantasy points there. Been kind of iffy, and then against Boston, 29 fantasy points. Against Seattle, 64. The Dodgers, 21. The Yankees, 12 fantasy points. So he hasn't done very well. Trying to see if he's faced Toronto. He has faced Toronto once this year. Back on April 24th, 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, 4 earned runs, and only 15 fantasy points. So I'm probably loading up on the Blue Jays bats here, and I'm looking at Jose Barrios. So if you want to see what bats have, had success against Barrios, or against Lance Lynn, Chapman's 2 for 20, but those 2 hits were home runs, so I don't know. That's not good, but he sees the ball well when he hits it, I guess. Whit Merrifield, 5 for 25 with a double. I still don't know. Question of the day. Who do you think's the biggest all-star snub so far? I think Whit Merrifield should not have made the team. I don't know how he made the all-star game. Because you have an entire, you have an entire country voting for just one team. It's bound to happen. George Springer, 7 for 24 with a double and a home run. I like George Springer. Vladdy, 3 for 15 with a double. Brandon Belt, 7 for 18. Bo Bichette, 4 for 14. I would look at those. I would be looking at some of those bats there. If you want to get cheaper, Dalton Varsho, maybe a little bit Alejandro Kirk, Danny Jansen. I don't mind either there. So, in this game, I'm taking Barrios, I'm taking the Blue Jays bats, and I'm stacking against Lance Lynn. And the White Sox are calling back up Oscar Colas, so he could be a cheap option if you're not going Barrios. I don't know who he's taking over right field for. I'm not a White Sox fan. If you are a White Sox fan, let us know. I haven't seen the corresponding move yet, but off the top of my head, I can't think of who plays right field. Cubs at the Brewers is next. You got Justin Steele versus Adrian Hauser. Steele, 68 plate appearances, 246 batting average against him with the Brewers. He's striking out 38.2% of those batters. And then Adrian Hauser, 53 plate appearances, 283. He's had back-to-back really good games. Against Cleveland, 6.1 innings, 6 strikeouts, 47 fantasy points. Against St. Louis in England, or London, 6 innings, 8 strikeouts, 1 earned run, 49 fantasy points there. So he started off the season really well. Then he had a few stinkers in a row. Now he's back, I think. He's got a good matchup here. He's coming in 9-2 record, 2.43 ERA. I'm taking Steele. I'm not taking Hauser. If you want to look at maybe some Cubs bats that have had success against him in these numbers, Ian Happ's 3 for 10 with 2 doubles. Swanson's 3 for 10. Barnhart's 3 for 10. Bellinger's 2 for 3 with a double. I think Bellinger probably gets traded at the trade deadline. Would not surprise him and Stroman for sure. Patrick Wisdom 2 for 4. So not a ton that I like, but I mean these top 3. If you want to go a little bit contrarian, get a Cubs stack. And if you're not going with Justin Steele for whatever reason, because you have balls of steel, ding ding. The bats. I mean, Christian Yelich has looked amazing. Resurgence bandwagon here. 6 for 16 out of him. Willie Adames 4 for 16 with a double and a home run. That's about it though. That's why I really like Justin Steele here. So probably I won't have any exposure to Milwaukee bats. I'll have exposure to Justin Steele. Maybe a couple of the Cubs bats, but this might just be a game where I just have pitching. Dodgers at the Padres. You got Patrick Sandoval versus Seth Lugo. This is what I think makes our DFS channel here different than other people like lineup sellers. I was wrong on Ohtani. He had his worst outing of the year. Loved Ohtani. The picture of the video in the article obviously didn't come through for us. Gave up 5 earned runs, not enough. Kind of sucks, but it's another day. It's Patrick Sandoval versus Seth Lugo. So Trout is out with a broken hamate bone on his right or left wrist. I can't remember, or right hand. People will say he's injury prone, which he is occasionally injury prone. But when you get hit with the ball and break a hand, that is not injury prone. That is not your fault. A pulled hamstring every single time, like Stanton, that's injury prone. Trout getting hit and breaking a hand does not make him injury prone at all. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you think Mike Trout is injury prone, or do you not think that? That's another question. I have multiple questions of the day. Hopefully you guys are still listening so you guys can answer them. Sandoval, I would be looking at the Padres bats. I will have no exposure to either of these pitchers. I would look at, for Angels bats, or for Padres bats against Sandoval, I'd be looking at Bogarts, Fernando Tatis Jr., I'd be looking at Machado. So they just did release, or they're DFAing Nelson Cruz, which he's a righty bat, but I told you guys I never used him. So yeah, I would be looking at Tatis, Machado, maybe Kim, Bogarts here, maybe Gary Sanchez against the lefty. Should be DHing more. And on the flip side of that, the Angels bats against Lugo. Ohtani, obviously, wouldn't be surprised if he hits another home run. So Trout's out. So Mickey Moniak be a cheaper option. Rendon, I believe, is back, 16 for 15, or 6 for 15 with 2 doubles. Escobar 1 for 7. Hunter Renfroe 1 for 6 with a home run. So cheaper options. I'd probably look at Rendon, Moniak, maybe Mike Moustakas, and Ohtani for sure. But I'm not going to have either of these pitchers. Then you got this game. You got the Mariners at the Giants. You got Tommy Malone versus Alex Cobb. Malone, 11 plate appearances, 182. I really don't trust him. He's made one start. Actually, they just called him up. So Malone hasn't pitched in the majors since April 14th, where he went 4.2 innings for, I believe, the Mariners. So he's coming in here. I'm not using him. Don't trust him. Don't know how long he's going to go into this game. Flip side of that, Alex Cobb, 60 plate appearances, 232 batting average. I will have exposure to Alex Cobb here, for sure. I won't look at Malone. We'll dig into more bats once the BVP numbers come out, Vegas numbers come out, and stuff like that. But I'll have a little bit of exposure to Alex Cobb in tournaments. But honestly, this slate, I don't like it a lot. It feels like a more of a tournament slate all day. So it's kind of my thought in this one. Then we got this game, the Mets at the Diamondbacks, Kodai Senga versus Tommy Henry. So I don't know at what time Senga got pushed to Wednesday, but Scherzer came in. Did not. So I made the video, and then obviously things changed. So Senga's back. So I will have exposure, a little bit of exposure to Senga, just like I said yesterday. Arizona's a really good team. Corbin Carroll's back. He also hit a home run against Scherzer on 4th of July. So Senga could get lit up too. They're so good. So if you're not using Senga, Ketel Marte, Corbin Carroll, Christian Walker, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., Josh Rojas. It depends on who's out there. If you are using him, I would throw Senga in tournaments just because of how good Arizona is. And then Tommy Henry, I'll have a little bit of exposure to Tommy Henry just because, like I've said in other videos, the Mets are not good on the field as they are on paper. They're not showing up this year for whatever reason. I'm guessing Buck Showalter probably gets fired at the end of the year. I would not be surprised. Senga's one of those lone bright spots that has really shined mostly in this rotation. So I will have exposure, I think, both Senga and Henry for tournaments, and then I could see you making a statement to stack Arizona as well. And then the final game, another bats or pitchers that have never faced the other team. Osvaldo Bido versus Bobby Miller. I will have no exposure to either of these pitchers. I kind of like stacks on both sides. Just depends on what stack. If you're stacking against Bobby Miller, Sawinski, Carlos Santana, McCutchen, Brian Reynolds. And then if you're flip side of that for the Dodgers stack, probably Mookie, Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, JD Martinez, James Outman as well. So I will not have exposure to either of these pitchers. I will have exposure to this game by stacking both sides. Just like the game right here, you can see put up some runs on the 4th of July. So I will be looking at that as well. So there you go. There you have it. All the games broken down that are on the slates. If you have questions, comments, concerns, let us know down below. If you're wanting to get on the website, go to FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. If you have any questions that you might not feel comfortable for whatever reason throwing here on YouTube, you can always hit us up on email, dfshelp1@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on Twitter @advisors_team. So we'll be building out our optimal lineups, the weather tab, the stacks, the home run bets that we like, the sports bets, all of that. It's all now in the All Access Pass brought to you by FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. So you can sign up over there. Go to FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, hit the FTA Plus button, sign up for the All Access monthly pass for $24.99. That includes everything that we have. That will also be the same price when NFL comes through. So you'll get NFL and MLB for a couple of months, including DFS and sports betting, all for that same price. So good luck to everyone on this slate. Let us know how you did yesterday, and let's bring home some bacon. Peace.